Hi there. I just wanted to bring everybody together and welcome Aleksandar Lazarevic. And I will let him introduce himself because he has a couple of slides. But we are really grateful and honored to have him join us. And I think everybody here should be. He's had a long history with implementing great AI technology well before they became popular. And so please join us in welcoming him, as well as getting ready to ask him a lot of questions and interact after his brief presentation.
Thank you, Marinka, for great introduction. Marinka and I started to work together almost 10 years ago when we were at Aetna. So we stayed in touch, since then. So thank you, Marinka, for inviting me and giving me the opportunity to talk to you guys. So I heard that most of you are graduate students in computer science department. So this is one of rare opportunity for me to talk to people that are smarter than me. But, that's a good thing. I can learn as well. So yeah, my name is Aleksandar Lazarevic. My background is mostly in machine learning, AI. I actually started to do machine learning before it was popular field. Actually, I started to do machine learning when probably nobody heard about this, but I never knew it would become such a hot field like today. But I guess this just shows my predictive capabilities, right? But since then, I work in different industries, different roles. I work in healthcare industry. I work in manufacturing. I work in insurance. I work in CPG space. Currently, I'm a senior consulting partner for Sigmoid Analytics. This is a smaller analytics consulting company. I also founded my own company, Ada Insights, focusing on providing different benefits, different services to the clients. Prior to this, I was leading analytics organizations at HelloFresh, Stanley Black & Decker, and at Aetna, I was responsible for healthcare, fraud, waste, and abuse detection. So I think that would be enough from me for the introduction. Please feel free to interrupt me during my talk, although I didn't plan to actually speak for long. I actually wanted to provide you my point of view on the hottest buzzword of 2025, which are AI agents. What are these? How we came to where we are today. And actually, we can have a discussion. All of us can have discussion basically around AI, around agents, basically, especially what the potential applications. It would be great if I see some of your faces, because I would know if I'm annoying or boring, or you found this, less useful or more useful. That would be great. But thank you very much. So, okay, let me quickly share some of my slides, and then we can go from there. So give me a second. Yep, share.
And feel free to put any questions or comments in the chat, and we'll go ahead and keep track of that and bring it up at the end, or even interrupt him.
You still see my screen, correct?
Yes.
Okay, let me just put in the our presentation mode. Okay, let's start. How many of you heard OpenAI announcements and their newest addition called Operator? Okay, one. I see only one person. I don't see anyone on the side here, but it seems that some people actually heard. And this is historically supposed to be first AI agent of 2025, right? And this was a big buzz about this, because that tool is now available only to pro users, people who are paying $200 per month, which is, probably steep for many of us. And it can do many things. It can basically you can give operator custom instructions for different websites, to actually book certain things for you, to buy the groceries for you, run some demos. So it's officially like a first kind of the agent. At the same time, Perplexity, which I assume you all heard about Perplexity, also launched their Perplexity Assistant, which also integrates it directly within Android. And actually, it's supposed to handle complex tasks like a follow-up actions, some other things, booking, your tickets, buying the groceries. So very similar to OpenAI. So you can see the race to the agents is becoming hotter and hotter. And I'm not sure if you heard about a recent interview from Microsoft CEO Satya Nadella, which he said that basically the traditional software is dead and traditional SaaS, software as a service, is dead as well, and everything will actually move to the agents. So as I mentioned earlier, agents are the hottest buzzword of 2025, that's for sure, and many companies are trying rapidly to go to that space. I have privilege to work with many different companies, mostly in the CPG space, and all of them initially were trying to implement LLMs, but right now with the AI agents, everyone talking about this, they want to see basically how they can implement their first AI agent. However, the things are not that easy as before. And although we know that OpenAI introduced the first AI agent yesterday, there was actually one agent that happened like in 18th century. That's like first automation chess player. However, that was all actually not true because there was a person hidden behind it. So, and it was not real agent. So as you can see, AI, actually people were pretending to talk about AI for a long time, or automation. The first kind of mentioning of AI happened around 1956 when actually the term artificial intelligence was actually coined at the workshop that happened at Dartmouth College. And after that, people started to talk about AI, but AI was not buzzword at all. Nobody wanted to do AI before actually 2010 or so, because at that time, AI was mostly considered like an expert role. So basically, why we are here today, what actually contributed to that success of AI today? And I think the first thing is exponential growth of data. The amount of data that we have today is enormous. And I just read recently some statistics that the amount of data that we collected in the last 2 years is more than everything we collected prior to that. Can you imagine that? Can you imagine the pace of the data accumulation that we're having today and how this data could be used in anything related to machine learning and AI? The second thing that contributes to the popularity of AI and growth of AI is computing power, computational power. When I started to do machine learning around 2000, training neural network was taking a lot of time. I remember days when I would go in the evening, run the program, and then come the next morning to see the results. So it will take like at least 12 hours. Right now, much of this is much faster. So basically the chips becoming more powerful, and that contributed to actually more powerful training of actually the neural networks and different kind of neural networks. When I was doing my PhD, only one layer neural networks could be used because of the speed, how this neural network could be trained. Right now, as you know, deep learning neural networks are quite popular and quite feasible. And the third thing that contributed to the growth of popularity of AI, especially in the last 2 years, is ability to interact. That was probably the most important aspect, in my opinion, because for the first time in their life, people were able to interact with the AI system and understand what's happening. They would ask the question and the system would respond to that. Prior to that, everything was through programming, coding, and it was not basically available to many people. And you had to convince people that they have to do something with respect to analytics, machine learning, and AI. So these are, in my opinion, three most important factors why AI is so popular today. Okay, so going back to the most popular topic of the year, agents. As I mentioned, agents are, as a concept, are nothing new. I think this kind of software systems appeared like a while ago, actually at least 30 or 40 years ago. But at that time, people were mostly talking about pre-programmed or actually build rules that will actually guide the agent how to interact. And that's what we're talking here about, these kind of software agents. These are kind of typically basing on predefined rules, logic, executing specific tasks with specific parameters. With the advance of machine learning, we are starting to talk about more intelligent agents. And these agents will actually try to utilize machine learning algorithms to improve performance by learning from the data, identifying certain patterns, and making some data-driven decisions. Obviously, machine learning agents didn't have ability to interact. And that's basically when we come to the actually AI agents. And when we, oops, sorry, I clicked accidentally by the line. Okay, and then we are talking about AI agents, when we basically assume that AI agent is autonomous or semi-autonomous software system that is able to make some decisions, learn and adapt to some new situations, and by integrating various technologies. And I'll try to compare these three types of agents with respect to several characteristics: how much they are adaptable, how much they have learning capability, how much they're able to make decisions on their own, and also how they interact with their environment or the outside world, right? So when we talk about software agents, as you can see, since they are based on rules, they really didn't have any kind of ability to be adaptable or adapt at all. They were just predefined rules, and they can only act based on that. Machine learning agents were a little bit more flexible. They could actually learn from the data, but that was only what was provided to them before. And finally, when you talk about AI agents, they have ability to actually not only learn from the data, but through different technologies like RAG, like LangChain and stuff like that, they were actually able to learn from experience they are interacting on a daily basis and by interacting with you. The learning capability, of course, you can see that traditional agents like a software system didn't have any ability to learn. Machine learning, again, they could learn from historical data to make certain predictions, mostly based on training data and everything. And finally, AI agents, you actually have, they are able to continuously adapt by incorporating the data they collect through the interactions with the outside world, and actually, if you can provide them certain feedback. Finally, when you're talking about decision making, all of these agents are able to provide some decisions. However, for traditional software agents, these are some kind of rule-based decisions. You always expect the same output or similar output. They cannot change anything. With machine learning, they are able to predict certain things or provide certain recommendations, but again, based on historical data. And finally, through AI agents, you have basically autonomous systems that are able to interact with the outside environment by evaluating different multiple tasks and learning from the conversation. Okay, so that's about, a little bit of the history. Let's see how agents are typically built on top of LLMs. So the word of the last year was the chatbot or the bot, right? So everyone was trying to build different kind of LLM. However, LLMs have certain limitations. They are not able to act on their own, right? And if you want to build intelligent AI agent on top of LLMs, you have to consider several things. You basically need to consider that AI agent need to understand what is the input. They need to coordinate certain tasks. They need to provide certain reasoning, make decision, and provide the output and actually generate the output, communicate back to the environment. So when they try to understand input, they typically rely on LLMs. That was what was missing from traditional machine learning, because this is for the first time, if you remember what I told, first time ability to interact with the environment. That's why this is so important, because LLMs are able to understand what the environment or what you are saying, trying to interpret that, and conclude what has to be done. So basically, this is the first step. You're relying on LLMs to do all these things for you. The second task is actually trying to coordinate the tasks. And LLMs are smart enough to figure out what we are talking about and to pull particular tool and actually invoke particular tool that has to do the certain task. Again, AI agents are smart as much as you make them. If you want to do something that there is no tool within that agent will not be able to do it. So basically, agents are typically designed to do particular tasks. So that's why this coordination of tasks is extremely important characteristics of AI agent, because based on LLM and based on their understanding what has to be done, they would actually call particular function or particular API. For example, search the web, send email, buy the ticket for me, access some internal system. So all of this could be incorporated tools that the agent could invoke in order to perform some task. Finally, based on the result of that tool, the agent will need to actually understand what is the output try to understand basically what is happening, create some kind of decision based on that, and communicate back to the system or to the user. That's kind of the high level definition of what AI agent is. As you can see, agents are still relying a lot on actually programming. And it's not just, AGI when they can do everything they want. They are specifically targeting particular tasks. And they can be smart as you make them. However, you still need to program certain things. LLMs are not enough. And that's basically what I want to talk on the next slide. I just want to mention here that basically agents would be equal to LLM plus memory plus knowledge plus the tools. That's kind of the high level definition, the simplest possible definition that you will probably hear.
So Alex, we actually have a question from Tony.
Oh, sorry, I don't see.
No, I know. So that's why I'm going to interject.
Thank you.
So Tony, you could either take yourself off of mute and ask the question, or we can I can ask it for you.
Hello, Alex. I guess my main question right now, as I have many people approaching me of how to build these AI agents pipelines, especially how to get from unstructured multimedia data to structured relational data. I was wondering how to best design a system such that the pre and post processing can better evaluate these AI agents along different components down the line in the system. So that for example, say I have an OCR and it extracts some data to text to a specific cell or like to a specific input into my SQL database. How do I validate what the OCR component extracted is correct or not, and make corresponding corrections to it?
That's a great question. Yes, and I don't think there is a right or wrong answer here, but basically everything has to go through some kind of the human interaction, human feedback, because OCR systems are pretty good these days, right? However, if you're dealing with handwriting, stuff like that, there is higher chance of having an error, right? So the more training data that you have specifically for OCR, because OCR are traditionally, machine learning algorithms, which right now depends mostly on the deep learning, right? So deep learning would have ability to understand different kind of characteristics of the letters, digits, and even sometimes some simple figures as well. So the more training data and more diverse training data you provide to the system, the better kind of accuracy we will have. Whether this is completely accurate or not, that's something that, it's hard to say. One way to actually incorporate this into the agents would be to actually, for every time when the agent is not true, when for example, certain type of confidence of prediction is not high, the agent would actually consult with the human or with the remaining environment to see whether what it's trying to do is accurate. So that's the way how you can provide this kind of feedback in the loop and make sure that you always have accurate results. I mean, that's the best answer that I can provide right now. But I don't think there is a really good answer, because we progress in LLM development, especially in LLM development, so fast that we actually neglected a little bit, the fact how we need to evaluate the performance and how we need to make sure that actually what we see on the screen, what we get from these algorithms is always accurate. So the focus was mostly to develop these algorithms to do, crazy things. And we neglected this kind of things of evaluating this tool. Actually, one of my colleagues from Northeastern University actually had just a talk at a conference when he was talking about different ways how you can actually evaluate LLMs. If you're interested, I can try to see if you would be able to share this or something like that.
That'd be great. That goes into the idea of governance of what the computers and robots and all of these are algorithms and agents are doing. One of the keywords that I've heard that kind of stuck with me are including guardrails within your process, right? And whenever you're going to implement or using it or how you design it. So
yeah. So
great question.
Tony, I know that may not be the complete answer to your question, but at least are you partially satisfied?
For me, I do multimodal generative AI research, and one hard part in my research is also to do with how to evaluate the outputs for my multimodal models for question and answering, and especially for the business applications, they have no capability to train their own models or to actually use models efficiently, so appropriately. So from their standpoint, it's not so much how they make their own AIs, it's more so how they use it, and therein the evaluation is very important, so that they could take a more systems approach to how to use these agents. And that's,
So that's
sort
your
of what I'm
research.
thinking.
So
Yeah, that's part of my research is just to thinking, other than there's my research, and then some people are approaching me to do some consulting. But
okay.
because from their business standpoint, we have all these crazy tools, but we can't use it.
Yeah, true. Okay, so that's what I meant, people smarter than me, so I'm learning as well. So thank you, Tony, for sharing this as well.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you. But
Alex,
yeah, please, I would like to talk to more to you offline if you're interested. So yeah, please, because these are kind of topics that, it's extremely hard, especially I mean, right now for me to track everything that's happening in this space. And especially with the clients wanting to do more in this space and actually not knowing exactly what they want to do. So tracking everything that's happening in generative AI space, going from text, images, video, audio, tools for that, is extremely hard to actually follow what's actually happening and track all possible tools. And actually, in my opinion, there is a new tool every single day that I see there right now.
yeah. I don't want to disturb your progress on the slides, but we have one more question, which is
Yeah,
from
please,
Mike.
please. Question?
I think he's trying to get off mute. Mike, you ask a question. If I can ask it too.
Yeah, so can you hear me?
We can hear you.
Yeah,
Okay.
we can hear you.
So we're having this course where we have to read like a bunch of papers because like I want to be able to write big papers moving forward. And the thing of topic of explainable AI came up.
The topic of what?
Explainable AI.
Okay.
Explainable AI.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, so is that something that is prominent in your space?
When you say explainable AI, what exactly how you exactly define this? Is
Okay,
it like
so it's how we see what the AI is actually doing, behind, because right
okay?
now it's so complicated. After CNNs, things got a bit more complicated, complicated enough that most people don't understand it. I don't think anybody does right now. It's just a black box. We don't really understand how it works. So explainable AI kind of tries to explain what is going on behind the scenes, inside the black box. Yeah, because we
Okay.
can't release it to like humanity in terms of
Okay, got it.
law and stuff without
So
doing that.
you mostly mean like to explain how these models work and the reason
Yes,
behind, right?
yeah.
Okay,
So
okay,
yeah,
okay.
so I'm asking like, so my main question is more of like, what do you think like
Okay.
how much role would that play, moving forward?
That's a great question. I think the topic of explainable machine learning AI analytics was old topic. I think when we had machine learning, we also have a problem of explaining the decisions, and there were certain techniques at that time that were providing this, like a Lime technique and stuff like that. But right now with generative AI, because you are typically using these transformer models, it's
Transformers,
much more
yes.
difficult to actually produce any kind of explanation behind this. I think it would be extremely important for highly sensitive applications when the extreme high degree of accuracy is required. That would be more important. For people like a regular test that we're doing on a daily basis, it may not be that important or accurate, because people are amazed by technology anyway, and they continue to use it on a daily basis.
Yeah.
So I believe it would depend on the application. It would depend on the use case and the industry. For example, if it's for medicine, if it's for the military, for the government, this may be higher sensitivity, and these kind of aspects would be more important. But that's my view. it may not be necessarily the truth.
Do you think it would be what would be necessary for the next step of like evolution of AI? Because until it's explained to some degree, we can't bring it into these systems. We haven't full faith in them.
Yeah. I think it will be part of all the regulations, AI regulations that people are starting to talk about. That would include not only the explainable AI, but also aspects like responsible AI, ethical AI, accurate AI. I think these are all kind of aspects that would be considered as part of these AI regulations. I think we are making relatively minor baby steps in this space right now, especially with the new administration completely changing the direction of AI right now. They completely, I believe you heard that they completely eliminated the previous regulations that were introduced, and they're working on the new ones. So it would be really interesting to see, not necessarily just from technology companies, but also how the governments around the world will support relatively safe and responsible use of AI.
Thank you.
That's my opinion. But I would like to hear if anyone else has their view or different opinion. I think I would really like to hear, because as I mentioned, this is more like discussion rather than just my point of view. What are you guys thinking about this? How do you see that, where we would go in a year, 6 months, 2 years? How the people will actually start using, considering all these concerns that we have around AI? Anyone?
I think your topic on AI agents is the way to go, in the sense that traditional software engineer would be phased out and it would become like agentic development and engineering.
Yeah.
So like I was like just this morning I was like fixing an evaluation script, and it was literally just changing a prompt, not the code.
Okay.
So,
yeah. Thank you, Tony. I was expecting you to chime in.
Yeah, but yeah, so the thing is with like agents coming in, because it's when ChatGPT first came out, it was like a shock. I don't know, to me, it was a shock. I think the whole industry was surprised as well, because it was like overnight. Google was essentially replaced, right? Like, no, asking Stack Overflow for stuff again doesn't make any sense, to be honest. If you can ask a prompt and get something even more accurate. So and now that agents are around, businesses are going to take advantage of that to, because they can make calls, they can reread emails, they can code, they can really do everything that people can do. But what about people that really want to learn AI? Because now it's the more these things advance, the harder it is to learn. We had a project in my school. So I think a lot of people do this, but you learn to code like machine learning from scratch, without using TensorFlow or anything.
I know that very well.
You get yeah, when you use the perception at the perception level, it's okay, it's fine. When you have to reach CNNs, then it's a whole, it gets considerably difficult. Yeah, so how do we encourage an environment where like students still want to learn how to build these things, because that's what these big companies are actually doing, right? They're actually building these things.
That's pretty broad question. And I think the whole technology, generative AI, will fundamentally change the way, not how we work and how we look, but how we live as well. Because you are right. I mean, you were taking a machine learning course. I was actually coding most of these machine learning algorithms myself from the scratch because I had to learn how they work and code them.
Wow.
However, right now, the focus on coding is much smaller than it was, just 5 years ago. And right now, there are a few tools that you are able to actually not only run machine learning model, actually write the code for machine learning model, but you're also able to run the code for machine learning model. They'll give you mini sandbox environment when you will be able to do this. And also it will allow you to do data pre-processing, feature generation, and everything. So it's basically everything I learned in my life in machine learning, I can do in 2 hours right now. So, so the question is, the focus is slowly shifting to more like understanding what has to be done and what are the right business use cases and how you apply some of these algorithms. You still need to know what features you need to generate, although you can still interact with generative AI and get recommendations, what additional features you want to do. However, I still think from my experience so far with these tools that human knowledge and this kind of incorporation of the business domain into the features is the most important feature that you will be able to generate. AI systems are still not able to connect these kind of things. So basically, the focus of the future data scientists, or what you guys studying for, will be more towards understanding the business and how you can apply this business knowledge into what algorithms and what analytical design you need to create, not necessarily how to code, because you will be able to do the coding much faster than just 2 years ago. That's my opinion. But I would like to hear other thoughts as well.
We have a couple of comments from Ishan, and then I think I saw someone raise their hand, so feel free.
Please, guys.
Hello.
This is more like open discussion.
Hello, sir. This
Yes.
is
Hi,
Sunil.
Sunil.
How are you, sir?
I am doing
Glad,
fine. Doing fine.
glad we have you, sir, here.
Thank
So
you. And you don't need to call me sir, please.
that's my
I
respect
feel
towards you,
I'm
sir.
old now.
No, sir. Okay. My major concern is on AGI, sir. So how long do the AI depends on human intervention in deciding and understanding? And what if it attains independence and started thinking by its own? So my major concern is about on cybersecurity and
Okay.
on its development, because I had a film during my childhood. There was an Indian film called Robo in 2010, and at the time no one could imagine that okay, this is just some futuristic thing and it might be happen in some 300 or 3000 something else. But now when things started coming around us, so I thought there is a fear rather than interesting things happening around us. So, what's your take on that? If AGA could happen?
Again, very broad question. It's hard to provide answer to this. I can give you my opinion, but I think basically your question is with the AGI, artificial general intelligence, how quickly the humans will become not irrelevant, but not relevant, or actually we will be actually completely surrendering our thinking, our processes to AI. And my opinion right now is that these systems are extremely good at answering the questions. However, they are not that good at asking the right question. And I think that's still the power of humans will be to ask the right question. Because when you know what to do, AI can do that for you. But through the series of questions, you need humans, maybe not even humans, maybe, but through series of the questions, even if you work hand in hand with AI, you will be able to figure out what has to be done. But the right questions need to be asked. I believe there is a famous statistician from 60s or 70s, Deming, who said, if you don't ask the right questions, you will achieve nothing. And I think this still stands today. And I still believe that. How long we will be able to actually, sustain that, I'm not sure. Because at some point, AI will start asking some good questions as well. And I know that sometimes if you provide a topic and everything, they will start asking good questions. However, it's the more complex system, the more difficult questions are. And I think that's something that we still have to actually develop as human beings to be able to do creative thinking. However, to your questions, more and more people are starting to leverage generative AI technologies. They are too lazy to think how to answer email, how to write something. The question is how this impact our creativity, whether this is good for us or not so good for us. This is something I don't know the answer. I think this kind of luxury or flexibility to have this kind of assistant on the side that will do all things for you is great, but we need to be cognizant of the fact that we cannot lose that creativity, thinking that will distinguish us from the AI. I know maybe the answer is broad and long, but that's my view.
There you go.
Yes, thank you. Thank you,
sir.
Monica.
Nice to meet you,
Edward
sir.
Semming.
No problem. So there it is.
So I provided pretty accurate quote, actually.
That's right. All right. So you can take the share back.
Yeah, no problem, no problem. Okay, any other questions? So it's good to see all of you right now in the gallery, or most of you.
Hi, Alex. I had a question regarding RAG and LLMs versus what you just discussed with AI agents.
Okay.
Yeah, so my question is, with the use of AI agents, will they fully replace RAG and LLMs, or will there always like remain a space for like RAG?
Okay, that's a good question, because I want to actually go to the next slide and try to explain that for you.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Excellent timing. Give me a second. Or at least try to provide my point of view, maybe. Okay, let me see. Okay, so okay, let's see what's happening here. Okay, you can see the screen right now with the LLMs limitations, right? So okay, so LLMs were typically built on some kind of historical data, right? And they typically do not have the memory. With the techniques like RAG, you had the ability to add some additional documents to actually for LLM to learn from these additional documents as well. Correct. So basically, by this kind of RAG, you are actually trying to add a little bit of the memory into this RAG systems. However, if you want to actually this kind of LLM to be aware of all the communications, you have to actually continue adding this kind of historical information all the time, right? So that's basically what kind of how you can use RAG. And actually LLMs traditionally will lack ability to perform actions or interact with external systems. And that's basically why you have this kind of agent benefits. Then you can actually, in agents, you can actually build the code around this to actually store, update, and do, sorry, I'm keep clicking on this, I don't know why. So basically agents will be able to store, update, and retrieve the information outside of their static knowledge. So basically, imagine agent will basically invoke a RAG or like LangChain to basically constantly update the data about particular topic, particular conversation. By doing this, you will be able to add the memory, also called the memory, and basically they will track this conversation history and try to summarize this information. And also agents would be able to actually integrate all these different tools. So LLM would be like a main kind of tool or software that will be able to coordinate which tool to invoke, how to actually, what kind of parameters to that tool to pass, and also how to understand the output of that tool and how to convert that output into something that the human or the rest of the environment will understand. So basically that will be the responsibility of LLM. Prior to LLM, having this kind of agent was not possible because you didn't have this kind of interaction capability. And that's why I don't think that purpose of RAG will disappear. RAG would be incorporated, in my opinion, within the agents to be able to actually to coordinate some of these tasks and to actually add this data and the memory to the agents. That's my opinion.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, that perfectly answers my question.
Okay, thank you. So I think this was the last slide for me. I just wanted to provide you my view on the agents, how I see them and what they are at the really high level. We already talking, but please continue asking questions or providing your view, your opinion. I think it was great so far, at least according to me. I'm learning as well.
I think we had another question from one of the students.
Yes, please. I can, let me see if I can. Maybe we can, I can stop sharing and then I can see everyone.
So Annika, I think your question hasn't been asked yet.
So one of my questions was, I was wondering if you had any advice for like college students who are looking to work in the machine learning industry in the future.
Sorry, advice for?
Yeah, for college students who are looking to work in the machine learning industry, is there anything that we should look to do? Like any experiences we should look for?
Guys, you're asking pretty tough questions. I think that's another tough one. So, my advice is not focus too much on the current technology, because this technology will keep changing. In my opinion, I mean, everything I knew and I learned like 20 years ago is not relevant, or maybe slightly relevant. But understanding the concepts, trying to understand what to do, critical thinking, the way how to ask right questions, this is still relevant. Being adaptable, being able to learn new things. That's the most important thing, at least in my opinion. Being able to learn new things is the most fundamental skill that you need to have in today's world. For graduate students, I think it's more important in today's world with all this technology and less emphasis on coding to understand the business aspects of what you're trying to do as well. I think that's something that will fundamentally change. We I think slowly going towards the idea of citizen data scientist, person who doesn't need to understand technology, technique behind this, but just being able to actually run this. However, I don't think that complete lack of knowledge of how technology works would be good either. You need to understand some high-level concepts, but you don't need to go deeper, how certain things work. For example, when I was an Etna, that was like 10 years ago, type of questions I would ask people before, when they apply for job is completely different type of question than I would ask today, because the skills are different. At that time, I would ask, how random forests work, how decision tree works, what are the parameters. Right now, none of this is relevant. No one needs to know that. You just need to know how decision trees work at a high level, but all hyperparameter tuning and everything could be done by many tools, really. Even before generative AI, tools like a data robot, H2O data AI were able to do this hyperparameter tuning easily, run thousands of possible combinations and give you the best algorithm. Right now, this is even becoming less important because you can have tools that runs all of these different algorithms for you in a matter of 1 hour. So, but I still believe what analytical solution to design is the critical one. And sometimes trying to understand what potential features could be important in order to actually create this analytical design. And also how to create a story to communicate your design to the business stakeholders. These are, I mean, three probably most important things for the future data scientist.
Thank you.
Okay, makes sense?
Yeah.
Any other questions tied to this topic? I think Tony, you had a question.
Yeah.
R&D.
My main question is a little bit more involved in the sense that it's more about from my perspective in the sense that I do not like dealing with people. I do not like dealing with users. I like algorithms, the math, the like novelty of the research, and like do cutting edge, bleeding edge development in startups and maybe even in research labs. I was wondering, from in today's climate for agentic development and sort of more and more the rapid, every day is like a new crazy paper, a new crazy company with their tool coming out.
Yeah.
How best what should I do and how should I position myself so that I can be relevant in this climate, in the sense that I know a lot of the fundamental mathematics, the how to do like say XGBoost with paper and pencil and do the forward and backward propagation with paper and pencil. However, it's either knowing these and developing my own model architectures would either be like the very, very, very niche companies or just academia. And I get the sense that it would be very hard for me to get a job if I'm too technical.
Okay, that's a great question. So basically, you are more focused on technology
Yes.
than actually the applications, right? And I think You're right. One possible path is to do complete technology research. It could be either academia or some highly relevant research institutions. You can find job in highly prestigious places like Google, NVIDIA, when they do some research there. That's quite actually noble, and these positions pay really well. However, I believe that for every technology, every math that you have to learn, you always have to start with the problem you're trying to solve. It's much harder. I'm not saying it's impossible, but it's much harder to actually start with technology and then work basically what business applications you have to do. It's always easier to start with the business problem you're trying to solve and then work back to technology. I think even Steve Jobs said that at one point, that it's much easier to actually, it's always good to go from the business problem and work back to technology. So for you, I think you can be much richer than all of us together if you end in the right place. And if you invent some great algorithms that would benefit companies like NVIDIA, Google, OpenAI, because if you like to do this kind of research, then you will be able to actually invent something that, you know, would significantly change the status of technology. But I'm saying this is much harder to do than the other way.
So what would you suggest that I should do to sort of maybe, like, other than just going into academia, or maybe just develop more interpersonal skills, or do some novel research and just keep doing the research, or what should I do?
I think, remember, the communication is the social interactions, the communication that we have is the number one thing that distinguishes us from AI and other creatures in the world, right? The social interaction, actually, the social interaction is number one longevity factor in addition to what I said. So we are human beings. We are supposed to interact with each other. So regardless, even if you end up with technology, you actually need to be able to communicate your idea in a clear way. So, I mean, this is something that will keep us alive, honestly. And I think will be, even if certain tasks will be replaced by AI, I think this is still something that it would distinguish us from the rest of the world and from the rest of AI and other systems. So regardless where you end up working, being able to clearly communicate and present your thoughts, which I believe you're doing a great job. I don't think you have any problems there, honestly. I think would be important aspect. But if you're interested, you can contact me later. You have my email address. You can contact me in a Slack, and we can have an offline discussion if you want. I mean, I started in academia as well. I started developing different machine learning algorithms, doing research there, but I ended up doing more like on the business applications as well. So I did that path as well.
And Tony, for those of us who are not as excelled in connecting with people and like people, we'll be able to interact with hopefully computers and agents in the future. So we can just have the people that we like to interact, which are the people that we programmed. So
there are whole concept allow AI companions, starting from AI girlfriends to actually having AI mental health therapists to different kind of AI systems that will help. But you know, I think I was like you. So please feel free to reach out, and then we can have a discussion. So I also started doing research, doing different kind of algorithms, inventing different kind of algorithms that will improve things. So I also started like you. So please feel free to reach out, and then we can talk.
Yeah,
Okay.
and it sounds like communication, definitely, regardless of whether you're communicating with a computer or communicating with a person.
I mean, yeah, even if you're talking to ChatGPT, you have to provide clear, specific instructions what GPT wants you to do.
Yeah.
So I believe communication is still, even if you're coding, you still need to provide specific instruction in coding what has to be done. So I think communicating your thoughts is extremely critical, regardless how you do that.
Not to stop you, but we're running a little bit late on time. It seems like it's been a great.
Sorry about that, guys.
No, it's great. It's exactly what at least I was imagining would happen. I just want to open the floor to other people who may not have spoken. Vina, Edith, Renan, Anyone? Does anybody else have a question?
Yeah, hey, Sai speaking.
Hi.
Hey, Alex. Quick background about me. Like, I've been working in IT for almost 10 years.
Sorry, you're working in what for 10 years?
Information technology side.
IT. Okay, got it.
Yeah, IT. So currently I'm working for a company called HCA Healthcare. It's a hospital chain in USA. It's one of the biggest one. So I am like doing my own research on the AI side. This is like how to detect the early cancer. That's what it's a very old topic, but I am trying my best
Yeah,
on that area.
it's quite relevant one. You probably
Yeah,
heard the news from 2 days ago when actually the president will invest $500 billion into new technology. And one of the topics is actually early detection of the cancer and healthcare in general. So
yeah,
quite relevant and quite timely. This is this is what I believe for 10 years now, that data could help there.
yeah, right.
But no
That's
one
what.
in that now believed me at that time. Okay,
Yeah,
so
right.
your question?
So yeah, on the same topic, in fact, I am giving a presentation as well. In this March, my paper got approved. IEEE paper got approved, in fact. So I just want to understand from your, thank you, from your perspective, right? How is this healthcare using the AI will get transformed? Like, I just want to know, like, since you are being like a veteran here, so
Ooh, that's a question I can
We-
talk for hours.
Yeah, we
And I
need
only have 2
another
minutes.
hour for that.
But you can also schedule a call with me and we can talk about it. I mean, healthcare is such a huge field. And it depends whether you're talking about healthcare insurance, healthcare treatment, pharmacy. There are many potential opportunities for healthcare. And I truly believe, but I don't know if that would actually happen or not. I truly believe that AI has capability to fix the broken healthcare system. There will be a lot of resistance from the players, but I truly believe that system could be fixed with AI. I truly believe in that. And we can talk about that, but there are many opportunities how healthcare could change.
Well, Alex,
okay.
sounds like if there's a lot of interest, maybe we should bring a panel back, and we already have a lot of experts to talk about that across the board. So, and a lot of people who are passionate about it. So,
Yeah,
so
I mean, healthcare is one of the topics that I'm quite passionate about. And
Oh yeah.
yeah.
great question, Sai.
Any vaccine advancements you think like might happen or something like using the same AI
Sorry.
vaccine side vaccine advancements.
Oh, vaccines advance? I think Sam Altman mentioned during his talk on Wednesday that vaccine development could be shortened to a few hours instead of like a 1 year with AI technologies.
That
I'm not sure if that's really that we will achieve that level of speed and efficiency, but I truly believe that this could be done because with all the data collected, again, the data is fundamentals for everything. The more data you have, the AI will be more powerful. And the more relevant data you collect, you will be able to do this much faster and faster. Companies, healthcare companies should start, if they already didn't, start collecting more and more data. That would actually fuel the AI systems to be more efficient and create better progress. That's what I see. But all these companies already have billions of useful data points that could be used to develop more personalized treatments, to develop more personalized cancer treatments, to your point, to identify cancers early, to do better diagnosis of certain diseases. All of these things could be done. To do the proper claim adjudication process, completely reduce healthcare fraud, waste, and abuse. Honestly, that can be done with AI. All these things could be done easily. Not easily, but could be done.
Yeah, definitely.
just this past week, I heard that they're going to create, or they're working on AI-powered cancer, personalized cancer treatments, where if you have it, they could actually be preventive, so they could pick it up from the blood. So there's micro cancer components that can be picked up from the blood, and through just a blood draw, you can identify them and then actually address them before they even become an actual tumor. So there are so many things. I know we're at time.
Hey,
Alex,
Marika,
one
you
last
remember
thing.
that tool that Mark Kenner and I and Mladen were working in Etna? Personalized cancer treatment. Exactly.
Oh,
So
6
all the
years
things,
ago.
it almost feels as though all the things that we have wanted to build, we are now will be able to build because the technology is here to meet
Yeah.
our imaginations and our creativity and our aspirations. So
Yeah.
exciting.
Let me just quickly share my email if you don't have my email address. So
We can put it in the Slack, and then
okay. Yeah. Oh yeah, okay. I'll do it in the Slack. Yes.
and then also I guess last words, Alex, before we adjourn for today.
Last words.
Or just a piece of advice or something for the next 6 months.
Continue to think, regardless whether you're using generative AI or not. Continue to think. Don't be tempted by the power of generative AI applications. Still continue to think. Be creative and be adaptable. I'm pretty sure that many of you will end up in professions that do not exist today, but that's the kind of the transformation we will go through with new technology. Yeah, I don't know what else to say, but these are the last words.
Those are great last words. I guess with that, we'll call it a day. And thank you everybody for joining. And hopefully we'll have an engaging session next week. And we're going to have to ask Alex to come back and talk about healthcare in the next few months.
Sure, I can do that. That would be, yeah. And I'm just sharing my email here.
Great. And feel free to interact and outreach to Alex via Slack and then take it from there. So thanks everybody. And I guess we'll see you next week.
Thank you guys. It was fun. I learned as well. Yeah, as I suspected.
thanks
Thank you,
everyone.
everyone. Bye.
Thank you.